everybody, welcome back inside another exciting episode of The Stash. Report from The Stash Project. Today is November 26th, 2018. Welcome back. It's been a few weeks, but we are here. Also prepare, because obviously this is going to take a little bit to get through everything for the last 3 weeks, although it's not quite as bad as you might expect on the release side of things, but there is quite a bit of information on the new kit side of things, new announcements, new teases, and things of that nature. Also, wish everybody here in the United States a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you've had a great weekend. It's a several day, up to 5-day weekend, depending on, what vacation time you may or may not have taken and whether or not your job worked on Good Friday. Well, Black Friday. It's Good Friday to some people, I suppose. They worship at the altar of consumerism. But be that as it may, again, welcome back to our little hobby show, and I cannot promise you that it will be any more frequent or often as has been until we sort of get settled into the new gig, but as it is, hopefully it won't be too terribly bad. So again, there have been a number of new kit announcements. Tamiya just made a announcement last weekend at their little Tamiya. It's not toy, really. It's Tamiya Festival, but it's all things Tamiya. They rent out the same facility in Shizuoka that the Shizuoka Toy and Hobby Show is actually held in. So it's a huge event for Tamiya specifically. A few other companies will show up like that. Ebro is there. I think Platts is also there. But it is, again, mostly a Tamiya thing. They do a lot of their RC stuff, a lot of their, championships for the RC divisions and mini four-wheel drive and all that sort of thing are done there as well. Very, very large event, well beyond just the plastic hobby. But they did announce an all-new automotive tool there. The announcement of a brand new automotive tool for the spring for Hasegawa, some teases for some things out of Mobius, upcoming kits from a bunch of different places, kit announcements into the month of February for some companies. So again, grab some type of beverage because, again, this is going to be a little more than your normal run-of-the-mill 20-minute video, I would suspect. So, while I sort of sit here and blather on, I'm going to realize that one of the things I want to blather on about, I didn't download pictures for. So, be that as it may, we'll... as I look it up, I will talk about it, and then by the time you guys see it, there'll be pictures in the offing there. So, the first thing we're talking about in terms of teases here on the United States side of things would be from the folks over at Salvino's JR Models. You may recall that they're doing a Monte Carlo, and so they had some preliminary test shots done for that car. We got sort of to see the body, which is what you're seeing right now. It is, again, a testing shot. It's not a complete and total, run in terms of production. You may know there's also here a picture of the suspension components that have the disc brake backs, or the drum brake backs, the disc brakes, the corrected suspension for the Oldsmobile, the couple of different height front spindles, so you can adjust the ride height of the front end, the spacers for the wheels, so you can adjust the track of the car. That way, a lot of these are going to be generic parts. They're going to fit everything that they're doing in terms of the entire kit production, and it'll fit the Oldsmobile, it'll fit the Monte Carlo, it will also fit. It'll also fit. Any kit they're going to do in the future, as well as just other kits. So, it is what it is in that sense. I think it's an interesting thing to do in the sense of being able to, for lack of a better term, just provide parts. A lot of people will buy model kits just simply for the bits and pieces, and this sort of allows you to get a whole bunch of stuff in one kit. Now, the first one of the Monte Carlo kits that is going to be released, and they're saying that they want to ship this sort of basically at the end of November into December, is this, which is the Donnie Allison's 1978 Monte Carlo, which would have its final victory, as it were. It's going to be another Hawaiian Tropic liveried car. So there is that. The Donnie Allison Oldsmobile should be out in a couple days. It's still, being a they're being shipped, but they haven't come in. We also got a teaser out of them on this product here, which I think most people will recognize as being a Mopar engine. So there is that coming as well. So there's a variety of products coming out of JR Savinos. Right now, again, the Hawaiian Tropic limited production Hawaii Oldsmobile, which is a Donnie Allison kit, is in the process of shipping. And then sometime either the end of this month, beginning of next month, they'll start shipping out the first of the Monte Carlos, and we'll get to finally see one of those in hand and see, how they're handling the different front ends, the round headlights, the square headlights, and all those sorts of things. So very interested, only because, again, the Donnie Allison thing, the Monte Carlo thing is something I was very interested in, just in general. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Over on the Mobius side of things, again, and sort of the teaser preview thing, we've got this. This is going to be another upcoming release from the Model King in concert with Mobius, and it is Don Nicholson's Comet Cyclone. So this is going to be another reissue of the AFX Mercury. Pretty much only thing you should really be expecting here, I believe, are a few little bits and pieces, mostly decals. I don't think there's any real parts differences between the two. From what I've read and what I've heard from people who know, it is just going to basically be another livery scheme for it. And then at the Detroit NNL, they had their display for the new pickup trucks, the 65, 66, 67 ones. This pretty much gives you an idea that these are really close to being done, because these are built test shots at this point rather than just being some pre-production things. And you see up front you have a short bed, or not so much short bed, but a flare side bed. I believe it's supposed to be 1965, and that's going to have a 6-cylinder in it, and that is going to be the first one of these kits that's released. Beyond that, there is a short bed, swept side, I guess would you call that, just a regular short bed, and you see the white long bed is there as well, and then you have the utility bed, which isn't really a branded thing, but it looks more like a Redding bed to me than anything. So that's going to be its own thing as well. I'm not sure if they're going to sell it as an entire kit or if they're just going to sell the bed separately. There was a little bit of a debate about that in terms of what was going to be coming which way. There will also be a 4-wheel drive version of this, which isn't shown. The red truck shows the optional sort of mag, day 2 wheels, if you will. The other kits show the regular factory stock wheels. And like I said, the flare side bed, the step side bed, however you want to look at, whatever you want to call that or would consider that to be, because every different manufacturer had a different name for it. The blue ones are going to be the first kit, and they're going to be sometime in the first quarter of 2019 is what they're saying as far as the release date. Same thing goes with the AFX Mercury. That is also supposed to be a first quarter of 2019 release. So there is that. On the I guess that pretty much covers domestic. So overseas teases that we have gotten would be, first of all, this from Bell Kits, which is showing their box art for the Citroen C3 WRC kits. So you're going to get a 2017 gravel sort of kit. I don't know that these are necessarily going to have different suspensions apart from one another, like only one is a gravel kit, only one is a tarmac kit, or if they're going to include all the parts in both kits. But the off-road gravel kit is going to be for the Mexican Rally in 2017 with Chris Meek and Paul Nagel as your navigator, and then the tarmac is going to be for the 2018 Tour de Course with Sebastian Loeb and Daniel Elena. The Sebastian Loeb race was not a particularly good one for those guys. They wrecked and ended up finishing, I think, 12th or something like that. They won the Mexican Rally with that team, I believe they won that race, if I remember my research right, because I just looked it up and then, of course, I didn't write it down, so I forgot. But those are going to be 2019 kits at some point. The Ford Focuses will be coming first. As of right now, we haven't gotten any kind of definitive date on those. I know they wanted to ship them out before the end of the year, but so far we haven't heard anything in terms of them shipping them out. But this should be, this along with the Rover Metro 6R4 will be your 2019 kits out of Bell Kits. So I'm guessing this will come first. It's hard to tell. They were announced basically at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see where along in 2019 those two cars come along, those two kits come along. We got announcements. Got an announcement from BMAX, sort of furthering the next issue of the TA64 Celica. So this is just going to be a reissue with some different liveries, although there are new wheels included with this. The car that has just the sort of blank team is the Belga Racing Team, and that represents the 1985 Haspengouw Rally version. The other one that's down there on the bottom, which is the 2-in-1 of the 2-in-1, is the 1984 Oman Rally, which is the country of Oman over in the Middle East. And they included newly tooled mini lights for that kit. Basically, what this kit is contents-wise is a combination of the tarmac body, which has the sort of inset fog lights and driving lights, with the gravel chassis. To build the Rally Oman car, which I have the actual aftermarket decals for already, I needed those wheels, which were a thing of their own problem because nobody makes a set of wheels that fit this kit. The closest thing that is done, there's a set of mini lights that are made for the Renault R5, which may or may not have actually fit this kit. Kind of hard to tell. But the other issue would, of course, be that the Rally Oman is a very, very off-road rally, very gravel rally, not a tarmac one whatsoever. And to use the tarmac body with that would have caused all sorts of issues. So I was at one point looking at buying a tarmac car and a gravel car and combining the two, and BMAX, and I wish I could say this was my fault because it works out perfectly for me, decided, hey, we're going to combine the two regardless. And so we're going to do this 2-in-1 kit. Now, the interesting part of this, and I really want to see how these decals are going to be done, because the little photo etch set they're offering there down at the bottom is the photo etch set from the Portugal Rally kit, which is the tarmac one. When I look at it, and there's certain vendors, there is a newly listed version of that photo etch set, basically a new stock number. This one, as they're showing it there, is just number 13, which is, again, the 1984. Actually, I think that's the 1984 Safari Rally, but it says Portugal Rally on the bottom there, so I'm not sure. At any rate, one of the two Rally existing photo etch sets for the kits that have already come out. When I look at it again, and like I said, certain vendors, I see a completely new set of photo etch as far as the number goes. It's the same photo etch sheet, but the thing with this kit in particular is that the top kit is the Belga Racing Team from Belgium. Belga is a Belgium or Belgish Belgium tobacco cigarette. It doesn't exist anymore. They don't make them anymore. I don't believe, at least based on what I've looked at. I don't think they make them anymore. But at any rate, that's a cigarette livery, and that's evil, and you can't have it. The bottom one for the Rally Oman, as you may be able to tell just by looking at the paint scheme, is a Marlboro liveried car. I'm not really concerned about that, and that's what I want to build out of this kit anyway. However, for people who just want to build this kit, out of the box, I don't know how they're going to supply the liveries you need, or if they're going to even try. With the M3 Rally kit, the one that has the Bastos livery, you bought the photo etch set, and that included the Bastos livery and logos. With the HB livery, and HB is a German cigarette, you had to buy the photo etch set in order to get the HB logos and the HB wording. I don't know what they're going to do with the Belga wording and the Marlboro wording on this. Again, I personally am not concerned because I have the Taboo Graphics Rally Oman thing. I don't even need the decals from these guys. I just need the wheels. They're in this kit that's a combination of the two kits, so I don't have to buy two kits and waste, and then have a gravel bodied tarmac car, which wouldn't match anything that was ever run as far as I can see. But again, I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with it. If they're really going to create a new stock number for some old photo etch so they can slide in the missing logos for Marlboro and for Belga. It's very, very obvious, especially with the Belga car, with the Belga missing off the side of the car. But it also becomes very obvious when you look at the real TA65 Celica versus the way the kit is presented in the graphics as far as where the missing Marlboro logos are. So that is going to be a December release. So that's going to be released alongside of the Lancia Delta S4. So just almost backdooring that out at the same time, where obviously the main focus will be on the Lancia. So one last teaser before we actually get into actual formal kit announcements will be this, and this was done by Hasegawa at the Osaka Hobby Show, which was a few weeks after the All Japan Model and Hobby Show. And this is going to be offering you a EP71 Toyota Starlet. The EP71 is the 84 to 88 model as far as the generation goes. A lot of people are, why didn't they do the earlier one? That's the one with the cult following. Well, that's also the one that you may recall B-Max is going to do. So why are they doing this car? Well, it's twofold. One, why not? March release, we'll see. That's too far in advance right now to know for sure if that's going to be an actual good release date or if it's going to be a little bit later than that. But there is this car, which was done in the day. This is sort of the top-of-the-line Toyota Starlet. It is the Turbo S Super Limited. So there's this option of a vehicle to do. In the traditional Japanese hot hatch, if you will. Also, a lot of people don't realize the EP71 Toyota Starlet was, at the time, this is again before you got into the touring car rules for Japanese touring car, as far as being like the Hondas and then all the four-door sedans, there were several EP71 Starlets that were raced in JTCC in the early days, in the 1986, 87, 88 seasons. So this, like the Isuzu Gemini, is something else that could be, should they decide to do so, made into a JTCC car in the future. So we'll see where that one leads as it sort of rattles around. So, kit announcements. We already talked about the Celica for December. So over in January of 2019, we've already talked about some of these because they came out before we did the last video. We have the Hasegawa announcements for January, and they are a reissue of the BMW 2002 Ti for the 1971 Swedish Rally. This kit is going to have several new parts added to it, a new front headlight setup, some new wheels, as well as a new skid plate for the underside. So for the vintage rally fans, there's going to be another BMW 2002 rally car. They're going to reissue their 1/24 scale Tyrol 021. That is a F1 car from 1993. We'll see what the liveries look like on that, because I can tell you right away, it's missing some cigarette liveries. They're going to reissue their 1/24 scale Plus Lola T9050, which is a 1990 Formula 3000 kit. They're going to reissue their Lancia Delta HF Integral with the ski set. This is the one Lancia kit that Hasegawa did in the past that was never reissued as of the most recent sets of reissuing all of the BMW 3 Series and the Jaguars and all that stuff. This comes with a ski rack with skis and several 1/24 scale figures. It's been a little while since this has been reissued in this configuration, probably at least 15 years, if not more. So that's coming back out. They're going to reissue the Mitsubishi Evo 3 rally car in the 1996 New Zealand Rally winning scheme. Again, livery will be interesting to watch here because that is a Rothmans sponsored car. Of course, that is another evil tobacco livery. The Rothmans is not shown on the box art car, which is a picture of the real car, so I don't know if it's been edited out or if it is at that little sort of turning point where certain countries banned tobacco outright, and so you started seeing either the just sort of missing tobacco liveries or the modified tobacco liveries. I can tell you that there isn't a set of decals for the Evo 3 for 1995, which does definitely include Rothman's liveries by Museum Collection, which is a Japanese decal company. So it'll be interesting to see what comes in this 1996 kit. A reissue of the Suzuki Jimny, so this is going to be the fourth one of these, I believe. Yes, fourth one. And this is going to be for the JA11-2, which is a 1991 Suzuki Jimny. This would be like the last one of the Jimnys that was made off of this generation, the JA11 generation. It's the most newest one that they've done. I think 1987 was the newest one prior to this. If they were to make another one after this, they would have to change a bunch of. They'd have to change the suspension first of all, but they'd have to change the body style as well. It's not terribly. It's not a huge leap between the two. A new body tooling and some coilovers rather than the just leaf spring suspension. But a lot of the stuff beyond that would carry over. So it'd be interesting to see if they do anything else with that, or if this is going to be the last of the Jimny kits we get. No new parts here. All of the parts are already included in the kit. The only new thing here will be the decals and for the actual graphics scheme from 1991, which is, of course, another crazy computerized wiggle line, along with all of the badging and stuff like that for the JA11-2. And then the last kit from Hasegawa for January is a reissue of their 1994 Honda Civic Fario JTCC car. This is going to be done as a very interesting choice of all the things that ran Civic Farios in 1994, as a car that ran the 1984 Intertech, which you guys would know from just the very beginning videos I've done on the JTCC series. The Intertech race is the last race of the season that involved international drivers. This car, there was 2 Intertech races that year, 2 different little sprint races, and it finished like 22nd in the one and 15th in the other, which was not even podiuming in its own class. So it's a very interesting choice as far as this, because there were other teams that ran Civic Farios in 1994. There's 2 or 3 other teams. This car only ran 1 race, and it was that last one. So, I mean, it makes sense to somebody. I'm not exactly sure I see the wisdom behind it, but then again, I'll take any JTCC car you offer me, so it doesn't really matter. I'm a sucker. I'll buy it, but I don't know exactly what the interest is outside of Japan, per se. The other kit from January is going to be the kit we teased a little bit there at the beginning. Last weekend, Tamiya announced at their Tamiya Fair that they were going to be doing a new 124 scale tool. And what it turned out to be, of all things, because there was much speculation that it would be the new Toyota Supra, it would be a version of the TS050, which was the car, of course, that Toyota took to Le Mans and won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2018 with. They did have a 1-to-1 scale TS050 on display. They're doing one in a 1/10 scale RC car, as well as a 1/32 scale mini 4-wheel drive. They also had the Mazda. The Mazda that won Le Mans there in 1-to-1 scale. Looking at it on the outside, prior to them making the announcement, my thought was they're going to do the TS050 because it is the first time that a Japanese car, had won Le Mans since the Mazda did back in 1987, 1988, whatever year that was. And they had the Mazda there, that they would do the new tool TS050, which was a kit that, could have a little bit of legs outside of just people building the Le Mans car, because it did run in World Endurance, just generally speaking. But and then reissue the Mazda, because my God, the Mazda has been reissued in its that orange and green with a little dashed line things. That has not come out ever again. It was released once originally. The kit has seen another round in the mid 2000s with the later Mazda Speed livery that was done for I think it was the 91 Le Mans. But the original car, the one that actually won, has never been reissued. So do the new TS050 and then reissue the Mazda livery with that old, livery, and it made no. That was not what was there. What we got instead was this. They were going to do a brand new 124 scale Ford GT. Yeah, the street car. Sort of solves the problem because, of course, I think for the most of us, we were just disgusted at the old Revell for doing a build and play version of this car. It is Ford's Halo, vehicle. but I don't think anybody really necessarily thought that Tamiya would be the ones to pull this one off. By the way, the Ford GT race car, the one that Revell is actually doing, the Revell of Germany guys are doing, that kit should be shipping this week. When you'll be able to get your hands on one here in the United States, probably depends on how much you want to pay for one. Because there are a couple of people on eBay in Japan who apparently have their hands on one or will shortly. They're trying to sell them for $150 right now. Don't pay that. That's not what they're going to cost. But, obviously, if you want one right away, ahead of everybody else, be prepared to pay more than everybody else. I'm going to guess this will maybe see U.S. distribution in December, maybe January on the outside. This kit will come out in January, so if you get 2 Ford GTs in January, you could certainly have yourself a very interesting spring. So this is the parts layout for the kit. You see it's going to be a semi-full detail kit. It appears to have basically the top half of the engine block, the top half of the cylinder heads, and the intake. Does not appear that there is a bottom to the engine. Does not appear that there's really a side to the engine either. In terms of the actual overall car, that's not really that big of a deal because, at least within the kit confines, there is a plate, an aerodynamic plate on the bottom of the car. So you don't see any bottom of the engine kind of thing. So I know a lot of people will, of course, rant and rave and throw a fit. I've already seen it start on certain online forums. Why isn't there a full detail engine? It should be a separate full detail engine. I hate Tamiya. They suck, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, I'll give you this, which at least has part of the engine that you can see through the back glass versus the $8 build and play that doesn't have anything at all. Your choice. What do you want to do? Go ahead and try to paint that build and play with its goofiness, or this, which is very interestingly broken down to make painting the car a great deal easier. The Revell kit is going to be a 2-piece body where the whole back half is a separate piece that glues to the front half of the car so that you can paint that tritone easier. This is broken down possibly even more by having the entire sort of side buttresses and be a separate part, and then the rear fascia and the lower rear fascia and the front fascia all being separate parts as well. It's very nice to see how this is all broken down. The seat halos are separate parts. That'll make masking those easier. The mirrors are a couple of different pieces, so masking those will be easier. Actually, won't even require masking them. So they seem to have done their homework on the breakdown of this. They had a couple of them built up. They are giving you 4 color options for the striping: white, red, silver, and black, so that you can do most of the packages from Ford. Ford only offers this car in 8 colors from the factory. Now, obviously, I'm pretty sure you could probably bespoke it if you really wanted to. Offer them enough money, they'll paint it whatever color you want to. But the only colors this car comes in out of the factory are white, red, blue, all of which are pretty much the colors that the car runs, in Le Mans and WEC and IMSA colors. That red, that blue, and white. 2 shades of black, gloss and matte, and then you have an orange, a yellow, and a dark gray, and a silver. Which I realized was 9, wasn't it? But anyway, there's 9 colors altogether then. The only striping option they don't seem to be offering is orange, and really, I don't think you really put orange on any other car color other than maybe white, maybe black. So they didn't include the orange stripes, but they included white, red, silver, and black, which pretty much covers everything else. There are window masks involved, some decals. So it looks like it's a fairly decent kit as far as I can tell, just looking at the parts layout. And it's a Tamiya kit, so how bad could it possibly be, right? Both this kit and especially the race car, definitely looking to aftermarket for, if not carbon fiber, at least photo etch. Especially on the race car kit, because the race car kit we're seeing now with some of the early kits that are being given out to people are going to build them for magazines. The vents are decals. There are decals for the brake faces. It's sort of got that weird. They didn't want to include their own photo etch, so they put it on the decal sheet kind of thing going on. I think once you start charging $40, $50 for a model kit, you can go ahead and take that next step, and people will be okay with it. But be that as it may, that, like I said, should be out in January. And then last but not least, in the kit announcement side of things, we do have some February kits from Fujimi. Almost said Fujimi kits for February, but whatever. And they're going to be the Fujiwara Takehumi WRX Initial D kit and the Kaihoshi Suda Evo 3 Initial D kit, and then another version of their McLaren F1 GTR Longtail. This one in the 1997 Fiat GT Davidoff Golf livery. That kit has been done in the past in that configuration. This time it is being done simply as one of the DX kits. You may recall they just did one with the EMI kit, and this is basically just the same kit they did in the past with a sheet of photo etch thrown into it. So you know, why not, right? If they can find people who are willing to rebuy that kit, you know, currently with that, you know, addition, if you will, put onto it, so be it. So anyway, that pretty much covers the kit announcements, kit teases, and we get to kit releases. So this will be some stuff here from the end of October, and then a little bit of November as well. The November stuff pretty much came out this week before Thanksgiving. We have some domestic kits, we have some overseas kits, so it's a good mix for everybody. On the domestic side of things, I almost said the domestic side. The domestic side of things, we got the one Revell kit that is a reissue, granted, but was the one kit that was sort of, you know, on the list of second quarter reissues that is new because of the different stock number. It is this, the Cadillac Escalade. You take one look at this and go, man, I don't remember there being a Suburban-based Escalade as this kit. Before everyone gets excited, because I've seen some people already be all like, ooh, no, bad, you assume. And it's Revell, and they went bankrupt. Well, they didn't go bankrupt, but Habaco did, but, you know, what I'm saying. Whoever drew this decided to elongate the back of the car. I assume that they got a picture of a Suburban, photoshopped the front end of an Escalade on it, and went, meh, good enough. Because this is obviously an Escalade ESV that's on the front of the box, but the contents are still just the regular Cadillac Escalade. You get these wheels that are on the box art. You get a second set of like Dayton wire rim kind of wheels. They're not really Dayton's, but they look like that type of wheel. And then it's just the same kit it's always been. But that was the one kit for November, well, actually for October, I believe. It might be November as well. That was supposed to be, you know, that's new in the sense that it has a different stock number. It's a recent release. And you can see that at least with Blitz running Revell, they were not willing to go out and have the box art redrawn just for this. Somebody signed their name to this. They need to be... Well, actually, they probably didn't do the wrong thing, but Revell obviously approved the printing of these boxes a while back before they went bankrupt, and you know they just packaged them in these boxes and sent them on their way. But that kit's back if you have any interest in it whatsoever. Over at Round 2, the 1 October release that had not come out yet is this, which is the Polar Lights Snap-Tight Ecto 1. This has the with Slimer, so it's got this little green translucent Slimer figurine on a little stand. You can sort of see it in the background there. Otherwise, it's their Snap-Tight kit of the Ecto 1. I love that antenna. I guess maybe in Polar Lights land, the whip antenna on the front end was made out of a high-tension line, but be that as it may, that kit's back out. If you're interested, it's just a straight reissue. I believe that's the only one that actually makes an accurate Ecto 1 from the original movie, because technically speaking, the Ecto that comes in the glue kit that AMT did is the one from the second movie. And that leaves us over with the rest of the Round 2 kits, which there are a few here. The MPC kit, one of for the month of November, that is this, the Spirit of 57 Chevy Gasser with the flip front end. I got pad printed vinyl tires included in here. They do have a set of window tint as far as the, I think it's, I can't remember what color the window tint is supposed to be on this, and I forgot to look it up, but there are two sets of glass in here, one's tinted, one's clear. Obviously, you're running this older MPC box art there, so, you know, it is what it is. I've always been one of those who's like, you know what you're getting out of these Round 2 kits. I don't think I have to belabor them too hard. From AMT, you got a reissue of the 1977 Ford van. This is the Cruisin' van. It has the expanded decal sheet like we talked about in the November video, where you have sort of the box art presentation livery, as well as the actual factory stock livery that was included, because this cruising van was an actual package that you could order from Ford back in the day. It does have pan printed tires, and it does have newly tooled wheels, so that it actually has the 1977 Ford factory stock wheels included for the cruising package, which it did not actually have back in 1977 when this kit was done originally. Also, up we have the 1955 Chevy Bel Air sedan. This is a 2-in-1. It is stock or a street rod. I'd call it more of a street machine. Does not include the gasser parts that came in the one-time only reissue that had pink box art. Otherwise, it is a very 1990s-ish street rod with the centerline-ish wheels, or maybe those are weld wheels, but be that as it may, it's very period to the 1990s. So that's back out. And then last but not least on the domestic side of things is the reissue of the 1940 Ford Coupe. This is a 3-in-1. You got pad printed drag slicks. You got pinstripe drag slicks, built as sort of a custom, a drag car, or a factory stock 1940 Ford Coupe. Again, by now you know what's in the 40 Ford Coupe. This kit has been around forever and a day. I'm trotting it back out one more time, or that makes it sound like it's the last time, but trotting it back out once again would probably be a great deal more accurate. So that takes us overseas to Japan, in which there were several kit releases. Fujimi had 2, and they are the 1/12 scale Nissan Skyline GTR Nismo S-Tune. So this is a reissue of their big 1/12 scale kit. These are sort of kind of plastic die-cast, if you will. A lot of screws hold this kit together rather than it being glued together. It does have the S-Tune S1 package to it, which is very interesting because later on Taboo Graphics would come up with the same striping package if you wanted to build this car out of the Tamiya R32 Street Tune, or whatever that kit was called. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. Behind the screen, it had that. I can't remember what the hell what they called that modified reissue where they threw a bunch of Nismo parts in it. But anyway, there is that out, and also this, which is the 1/20th scale Ferrari 641-2, which also probably more well known as the Ferrari F190. It is a 1990 car with Alan Prost and Nigel Mansell in it. It is missing all of the Marlboro logos, which are pretty prominent, especially in the sense that they included the drivers' names on those logos. You do get sort of a blank white box that you then put a Dayglow red driver name onto, but it's missing the Marlboro logos themselves. There are decals to replace those. There is also a photo etch set and a carbon fiber decal set for this kit that float around from time to time. I believe the carbon fiber kit might be technically out of production, but I know at least Spot Models has it. The photo etch, I don't know if it's in production or not, but I know that most of the Japanese vendors have it, so it's not that is fairly easy to find if you want to go all out on that. 177 pieces, a full detail kit. The kit itself represents either the Mexican Grand Prix or the French Grand Prix, both of which Alan Prost won, so they are winning kits in that sense. I guess we'll go to BMAX. Their kit for October has come out, and that, of course, was the brand new, all-new tool, Audi Sport Quattro S1E2. It does include the 86 Monte Carlo Rally version, and I believe it's the 1985 Tour de Course is in there as well. I can't remember what the second decal set is right now off the top of my head. But there are 2 different rally configurations, or not rally configurations, but rallies in here. It is technically a 2-in-1 as far as the decals go. Several people have reviewed this kit online, so you can find the reviews of it out there. You'll notice that the HB International logos are kind of sort of HBs, but they're not really. If you want the actual tobacco liveries on this, you do need to buy the sold separately detail up parts. I also think this is one of these kits that really could use the sold separately detail up parts, because you do get an antenna in it that is a great deal more in scale than the actual antenna that you get in the plastic kit. You get seatbelt material, of course. Get a lot of vents for this kit that are very not important, but look a great deal better than the plastic parts, or trying to cut out the little screen door mesh. And not shown, but included, are the HB cigarette logos to finish out the livery for the Evil Tobacco livery. So there is that. Over at Hasegawa, there have been a few kits released. A couple of them are kind of new. Most of them are reissues. So let me see how to do this the best way. On the straight reissue side of things, do this way. You get this, which is the Jaguar XJR Le Mans. This kit does come with the silk cut logos. They are on a separate decal sheet, but for whatever reason, they are included. It depended on, this is specifically the Le Mans configuration, but certain races that this car raced outside of Le Mans did run just the outline that's on the box art, like where the silk cut should go, but there's no actual wording. They did run that in a couple of different races where tobacco liveries were verboten and not run. Le Mans, not one of those places, so the silk cut logos are in there. Another reissue this month that is a straight reissue is this, which is the 1998 Sauber Mercedes C9. It has the AEG computer board logo, livery rather. Not the first time this kit has been reissued. It was just reissued either last fall or this spring with this livery on it, so that's back out. Another kit that is sort of one of the fall kits, but is just a straight reissue, is this, which is the 1/24 scale Honda F1 272E. This is the 1965 Mexico Grand Prix winning kit. So, like all their other 1/24 scale F1 cars, this does have like a full detail engine and all the rest of that stuff. It's a tiny, really tiny kit, because these Honda F1 cars were not very big. If you see one on 1/20th scale, it's about the size of a 1/24 scale regular car, and 1/24 scale is going to be really small. So there is that. Another fall kit in terms of stuff that was shown at the All Japan Hobby and Model Show, but as a reissue, is this, the 1966 American Lowrider Type C. I don't know what's going on with the licensing here in terms of why this is Type C and not just a Cadillac, but the Cadillac logos are still engraved on the grille and the tail. They do include Cadillac logos for the front, for the hood and the trunk. The Cadillac stuff is still engraved on the interior. You do get this sort of lowrider stance and the lowrider wheels. The car is molded in banana yellow like the box art, and the decals do this, the splash graphics, as it were. But it is back out there for anybody who's interested in it. The biggest downside of this kit is it has a very generic chassis and a very generic interior, where the dashboard itself is completely flat, and there is a decal that goes on there that represents everything that's supposed to be on the dashboard. Vents, gauges, buttons, everything. This kit is a little bit better in the sense of reproducing that, because they produced it as sort of an outline. The last time this kit was reissued back in the 90s, it had two different versions, sort of almost like a aluminum plate and a wood grain, and you sort of pick one or the other with what color you were going to paint the interior. This one, like I said, is more just an outline, a clear decal with an outline. So you can paint it whatever color you want to, and then the decal will just go on there and complement it with whatever color it is, regardless of what color you paint it. I don't know how many more times I can stress that. But there's no background to it. It's just the outline of the vents, the outline of the knobs, the outline of the the only thing that's really solid on there is the speedometer, and everything else is just sort of a line drawing of it. So no matter, again, what color you paint it, you can get away with it and not have to worry about matching colors per se. And there are two kits that are modified reissues that were released this since we talked last. One is this. This was an October release. This is the next in the line of the R31 racing kits. This is the Rico sponsored Skyline from 1987. Rico livery is obviously new. The only new parts in this kit compared to the 1989 Calsonic kit is the Panasport wheels are new. Painting this will be kind of interesting because we've looked at the decals now that we can see them all, and the front spear basically the stuff that goes from the A post to the top of the windshield. That's a decal. It's a white decal. And then the decals in front of the door and behind the door are basically red stripes. And then there is a filler decal on the top of the roof that you can't see from this angle that is also red and white stripes that sort of fits across the top of the car to the back window and then sort of comes down over the side of the seat pillar just a little bit. So what you have to do with this as far as two-toning it would be you would have to paint sort of the roof itself and then a sort of parallelogram that starts in front of the door and goes to behind the door, but not really far behind the doors or in front of the doors, or else the decals won't look right, white, and then paint the rest of the car red. I almost think it would have been easier for them to have you paint the car red and then give you white decals for the doors and the roof. Or have you paint the roof white and give you just the side decals in white. Now I understand they didn't do that because printing white decals that go over a dark body is very difficult. You end up with pink a lot of times. So having the hobbyists do it, as it were, rather than them doing it, certainly probably save them a couple of bucks, but at the same time, it makes painting the actual livery correctly a little more difficult. You're going to have to really pay attention to prototypes of the car and paint it, because you notice the white only goes to the bottom of the door and the sole rockers. It doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the cars. So the spoiler is separate, so painting out white's not that big a deal. The car itself is molded in white, so you aren't painting white over some sort of crazy red or anything. But again, it's just a really odd juxtaposition as far as what they did with the decals. And then the last Hasegawa kit that is modified, it's heavily modified reissue is this. It is the Mitsubishi Galant GTO 2000 GSR early version, 1973. So this kit has a number of new parts included. There are several new interior pieces. There's a completely different chassis, new wheels, new tires, new rear end, new front end. Obviously, all new logos and markings for the GSR rather than being the original version. Probably close to being 50% new, I would say, overall, to make this version. The over fenders are separate, so you can paint them a different color without masking, or you can paint them. I mean, originally, as far as this car goes in real life, the things are body color. But if you wanted to paint them black or something like that, you can. Unfortunately, the only stripes that come with this are these sort of blue, violet, pinkish color. The box art doesn't really accurately represent what comes in the decals. Unfortunately, these decals weren't used on every single color of this car, and so it's kind of disappointing to see them all sort of limit you a little bit to what you can do with this striping package. But it is what it is. Maybe somebody will offer aftermarket decals for it. I don't know. It's just not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. They offered it, and that's what it comes as. And that'll bring us to Aoshima. Everything at Aoshima we're going to talk about here are just straight restock reissues. Nothing new here at all in terms of the kits, because the October kits were already out last time we talked. The November kits are not out as of yet. So on this reissue train, we're going to plow through these real quick. The Toyota Crown Royal Saloon V8 UZ-S131 1989. This is a reissue of a kit that came out a couple months ago. Obviously, it's sold out, so it's back. Reissue of the 16-inch P1 Racing Buddy Club wheels. We'll also like to remind you when these come back out, it does show a 5-lug wheel on the box, but the actual contents are 4-lug wheels because they go to the Truno 11 kits, and those were 4-lug cars. The Volk Racing TE37 Gravels are back out with some nice Longchamp XR4s on the box art. Great juxtaposition. I don't know what it is about these wheels, but the box art is just atrocious. Reissue of the Lamborghini Murcielago street kit, the Super Veloce, as well as the detail upset for the Super Veloce, which does include seatbelt material, the floor mat material, some metal transfers, and a whole swath of photo etch. So those are back out. You also get a reissue of the Toyota 886 Truno Sprinter Project D version, which does have the upgraded engine parts, but does not include the roll caging and other stuff that the Volume 37 does. Reissue of the K-Brake Toyota Crown Majesta VIP kit. And then we have a couple more things here. You have the reissue of the Lamborghini Countach 5000 Quattrofoil with the fuel-injected version. You do get photo etch, in a little bit of photo etch and some metal transfers included with that one. And then some kits from November. I lied, there are a couple of November kits in here that are legitimately new to November, and they are this, which is the More Grand Champions Nissan Skyline Ken and Mary, as well as the 430 series Nissan Cedric. So these are the next two kits in the More Grand Champions reissue line. You know, same just as the More Grand Champions and everything else. Smaller 14-inch wheels, lots of wheel flares, lots of ground effects, lots of spoilage, if you will, on those. And that, I believe, is that. We have one more Hasegawa kit I forgot about. It was hiding up here with the other Aoshima stuff. And it is this, which is the, excuse me, the Zekaka Mazda Cosmos. So this is like the other Zekaka for the little Subaru 360 that they did, where you get a little acrylic outline of these girls, which a sticker then goes onto, and then you get a cardboard backdrop of this mansion in sort of a foresty area. And of course, you get the 124 scale Mazda Cosmos in there, and then you build the whole thing up where, you know, you have the background, you have the car, you have the girls in this little acrylic thing that they're calling the Easy Dioramas. So yeah, that's out there for you if you're interested in it. You know, even if you're not particularly fluent in the anime or the manga behind the actual schoolgirls and what they're all about here, you do get a model and a diorama out of it. So should be interesting to see if they continue to do that or not. That'll be the second one of those, so we'll see again where they're at with those in terms of continuing in the future. So guys, I think, my God, this is going to take you forever to watch because it looks like it's huge in recording time. That would be that as far as this video. I would like to do these more often. The question is, of course, getting an internet connection that can handle uploading to YouTube. And then the other thing we found with internet connections on the road is at least one truck stop chain's internet, the one that I get free internet from through my company for using their fuel stops, does not allow access to Japanese websites. So I cannot go on to Hobby Search and download the images of the kit box art, which is very annoying. So it's also kind of annoying that you can't like order anything or cancel orders or modify orders or do anything with any website outside the United States. I can't go on Media Mix. I can't go on Hobby Search, Hobby Link. I can't go on Hobby Easy. I can't look at Studio 27's website, Aoshima's Japanese website, Tamiya's Japanese website. I don't know what it is about the Far East that the folks at Pilot Flying J don't like, but it's really, really annoying for someone like me. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Apologize for the length, but it is what it is, and we'll see you guys on the other side.